The air would be both disgustingly humid but painfully dry, the summer night breeze gently brushing against our faces. Sometimes the wind will be cold and the trees will be bare, but for the sake of consistency, it is summer. My dad, my mom, and I would walk side by side next to each other on Xinhua Road, restlessly talking while on our way back from a plentiful meal. I'm guessing sukiyaki. The usual laughing, bickering, arguing, sometimes getting a little too out of hand, and then back again in a cycle. Above us, slightly tinted brown trees with emerald green leaves formed a tunnel that wrapped us in, barely showing any of the night sky. Sometimes, faint stars would sparkle in here and there, peeking through the leaves as we passed the rows and rows of phoenix trees. The air would feel the smell of rain, dotted with the scents of fresh flowers. Or maybe that's just the strong fragrance of Damascus rose that my mom wears religiously. I can't tell the difference. Neither can Dad. But other times, it's him that we don't understand. When I was a baby, Hong Kong, and on weekends Shenzhen were where we proudly called home. In that early childhood, my dad would work long hours, day and night. The only time I'd ever see him was around 8 or 9 p.m., where he would show up at a doorstep at our house, and he would show up with a tired expression that would immediately light up the moment his eyes landed on me. We would dance, we would play games, while he would watch me, recording everything. Then something shifted. One night, after another long day, he dreamt that I had suddenly grown up without his witness. It scared him gravely that he had missed an entire decade in my life. From that moment forward, he became surprisingly decisive about being present. And I would always find him lying in his large squared couch in his tiny squared study with his 2 feet set on his long wooden table, always reading something. My forever go-to place if I needed to talk. Now it's my mom who's barely at home. There are times when neither of them are there, or should I say, when I'm not. Coming back from Pilates, or even just a late night hangout with my friends. The closure would always be a time designated for myself, for me only. And that would be in the elevator. In that tiny box, staring back at my reflection, at the 0.5 monitor view of my face on the screen, the aircon blowing from above would feel so cold yet so warm at the same time. Sometimes I bump into my neighbors. Once, an elderly couple held the door for me while still quietly arguing about whether they had locked their window. Another time, a kid tried to show me his dinosaur toy, speaking so fast I could only understand half of it. There was once I've pressed the wrong button and ended up on a floor I'd never been to, where a cat just stared at me through the half-open door like I'd interrupted something. I've seen someone crying after a long day, someone carrying a birthday cake, someone rushing home with takeout that smelled so good the entire elevator filled with it. These moments are what made the space feel alive. As if the elevator wasn't just a tiny metal box, but crossroads where people pass through carrying their own versions of home. And in between these encounters, there were nights when it was just me, standing there with grocery bags cutting into my fingers, breathing, thinking, while watching the 4 numbers climb slowly to its destination. That space before I step into my house and after I leave everyone else. My own private in-between. So what is home? I used to think it was a fixed place, or a person, or even a city I could point to on the map. But the more I live, the more I realize home is not just one single thing. It is the accumulation of every single thing that keeps me and reminds me of my existence. Home is Xinhua Road in the summer. Home is my mom's Damascus rose perfume. Home is my dad's study. Home is that elevator at 11:49 p.m. Home is every version of me that was ever loved, witnessed, or remembered. And maybe the truth is that home isn't where you come from. It is whenever the world feels briefly aligned. 天时地利人和, or so to speak. At the right time, at the right place, with the right person, while doing the right thing. And when all of these things briefly align, you don't have to search for home anymore. You already have it.